Hello and welcome to Nirmal Bang, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Hiral Dadia. We have with us Ravi Chawla, Managing Director and CEO at Gulf Oil Lubricants, joining in. Welcome to the show, Ravi, and a pleasure, as always, to have you on the show and speak to you.
Thank you.
Ravi, overall, the last 18 to 24 months have been really difficult for few sectors, mediocre for some, and for some it has been spectacular where they've seen business grow. Plus, a lot of changes in strategy in the way of doing business is something that we've looked at as well. If you have to look at a Gulf Oil lubricant and the industry that you belong to, how has the transition over the last 18 to 24 months been?
Well, it's been quite a journey where we have seen so many new variables, which business normally has the set of variables. Of course, you deal with demand, you deal with competition, you deal with input cost versus realizations. But I think what we have seen last 18 months is indeed unique. And
Hmm.
what I would say is that overall the industry for us has degrown because we had certain months where the markets were not open, the retail markets, then the different sectors had different demand conditions. When COVID the first wave came, and we have seen the second wave also now. So we have the experience of both the waves, and I will touch upon the differences maybe later. But broadly, on the overall learning that we have had is that the adaptability of the strategies, the obviously the decision making in terms of the right areas, protecting the assets that are our people, making sure that everybody is safe, and at the same time ensuring that we can deliver has been the focus. So just to give you one of the figures is the industry probably degrew double digit, but we managed to retain our volumes last year because we were able to sense the demand and be there, get our supply chain ironed out, of course, create more value for all the stakeholders, cut back on expenses and hold on to the expenses which really matter. And I'm happy and proud to say that as Gulf, we managed to increase our market shares. At the same
Mhm.
time, we retained every person in our company. Of course, we had a little bit of reductions in expenses like advertising and other things, but overall, the learning is only made us stronger. And also, when we look at the new way forward, things like digitization, things like adding more value, getting closer to the customer in terms of giving tools for them to conveniently place orders, looking at marketing differently. These are some of the learnings I think which have become now, part of the strategy.
Right. So overall, if you have to just look back at even, say for that matter, the first half of FY22 and the second quarter of FY22, we have seen substantial growth that has started to come in on top line, as well as in terms of where profitability goes as well. Now, clearly, there was an impact on profitability on the way raw material prices were going up. Uh, do you think now what we are seeing, that's the trend that we will expect to see going ahead for a couple of more quarters? Or do you think this is the time where we will start to see much improvement from here on?
But you're absolutely right. I think your observation, quarter one, April, May, June, our margins came down to 10% overall EBITDA percentage of EBITDA versus revenue, and we normally have a band of 16 to 18% where we look at the margin. The product mix makes a difference because April was a washout in terms of the retail.
Mm,
So not only product mix, but as you rightly said, our raw material costs, which started going up last year, very high. The base oil and even the additives, which is imported, the base oil is imported mainly. So these were the two things where we took a series of price increases, which are now in place. But still, it takes time to come in because some of the B2B businesses have variation clauses. The market also has some stock which is in the pipeline.
mm,
Now, as you saw in the quarter two results, we are back to 14.5%, which, if you take the revenue increase, has been mainly due to the raw material price increase, also the price increase. So, as
mm.
a like to like basis, we are in that 16% band, which we have. And going forward, I think we will maintain that because demand conditions are now quite steady. I would say all the segments for us are doing well. There are a couple of segments like agri, which probably not doing as well as expected. There were some unseasonal rainfalls, but other segments are doing very well. The diesel engine oil segment, motorcycle, a bit of a challenge, a lot of competition there. But I think these things will correct itself. And overall, because the demand conditions are improving all around, I think for us to look at the next few quarters, this band of margin and the both the volume and the market share growth, we believe the conditions are quite good and the market will register growth overall. And once that comes in, Gulf has been growing 2 to 3 times the market anyway in terms of.
Correct.
So I think for us, it is good, and but it's going to be tough to look at how the conditions, if they change due to any factors, then again we go back to our situation where we need to look at our cost, and of course we hope that there is no third wave.
Absolutely. Hope that there's no third wave and businesses continue to see the growth. With this, Ravi, if you see in terms of, if you have to divide it between B2B, B2C, B2B, you've already reached double digit volume growth over the last year. If you have to take Q2 into consideration, plus, in terms of B2C, which was slow, there has been an improvement coming in on that front as well. When do you see the B2C business normalizing, taking into consideration there is no third wave, there are no adverse factors affecting it?
So Hiral, you are right. You know, B2B has done well. B2B in our case is mainly the
Mm,
industrial customers, the large customers, the steel mills, the cement mills, the other medium and small customers we service, and we also service OEMs. We now have about 20 OEMs. We do both there. Some of them in the factory, some of them we do in the workshops. So a lot of the B2B has been stable and as in fact growing. We also have some sales with the infrastructure customers. As you know, infrastructure is a segment which is cornerstone for India. So we had focused on this many years back, and I would say about 4-5% of our volume comes from there. Now these B2B segments are doing well, but it is also to see how well they can do, because they have had low bases now. Last year, you see the OEMs didn't produce much. Now also they had challenges, but they seem to be now having a supply chain issue. You know, some of
mm,
them. So once we see the OEMs doing well, and we are seeing that happen, so that is, I would say, a good sign. The industrial side is doing very well. The infrastructure side is also good. Monsoons do play a role, because and if you look at the road construction, it was at a very good 30 plus. Now it's little low. So we hope the road construction per day, which we know, the ministry is driving very well, and if that goes up more, that will again be better for us. So B2B, I would say the demand is there. B2C, you are right. It is, agriculture, which did very well last year, even
mm.
during COVID. All of us, food security and food production was all time high. So we had great, I would say, pent up demand which came in agriculture. This year, due to unseasonal rains, there's a mixed bag. But as we look at this season now picking up, we are just out of the October, and we see the demand conditions. These are also picking up. So B2C also is very steady. And if you go out on the roads, you see the cars, the bikes. In the field, you will see the tractors coming. So everywhere where mobility is there, and today 90% of our sale is replacement, more than 90%. So where
Correct.
the vehicles are being used, it is there, and you only have to look out and see how there is a traffic everywhere. But if they get used, then Gulf will be able to harness this demand.
Mm, mm.
I would say that it is going close to normal, and it will grow. And B2B is steady growth, which is there. Some segments like infrastructure, probably where road building picks up. And we've also seen a little bit of this monsoon effect in the last one couple of months. I think we are over that now. And November onwards, I guess we should be able to see good demand shoots of the industry. And that will help overall industry also.
Right. And overall, on the pricing front, I understand we've done rationalizing, we've increased prices to protect margins. But from here on, the way crude has been going, how do you see the price trend? Do you see reductions happening again now? Or do you think it'll still be on a rise?
See, what is very unique to our industry is that we consume a raw material called base oil, which is made in the refinery, same refinery which makes petrol, gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
Now, last year in September, it was quite odd that normally there's a tracking which is related to crude. If crude goes up, we have a lag time. But base oils actually went up before crude went up, and it went up significantly. So once it
Okay.
went up significantly, we obviously pass on some of the increases. Most of it goes in phases. It cannot go one shot, because it has to go in. So we increase the prices. Now I would say that because crude has gone up, then base oil is steady. It has come down slightly, but it is steady. So we feel that it will be steady, and it will again depend on the crude, but looks like it will be a steady run in terms of our raw material cost, which also helps because you have now stabilized the prices. Consumers are getting used to the new prices. It's not that it's easy for them. So there are a lot of value offerings which come in. Some of the schemes are announced by us in competition. So I guess we neutralize some of the price sort of steadiness and pass it on. But additive prices, for example, are going. Additive is the chemical component that goes into lubricants. That has gone up, because that also was not going up that much earlier, but now that is going up. And you see the other costs are significantly high. You know that. You must be talking to so many people.
Correct.
Freight cost, steel cost, plastic
Yeah,
cost,
yeah, yeah.
everything is inflationary. So
Correct.
I think with this it should be steady now, and we should be able to get the full impact of the price increases made, and also offer our trade partners, our consumers with value.
Right. And with all of this, currently, what's the kind of blended capacity utilization that we are working with?
So Hiral, we have a capacity of 90,000 KL in our Silvassa plant and around 50,000 in our uh, Chennai plant. So at the moment we are at about 115,000 KL. So and we can also increase the capacity by working an extra shift. So we have
Hmm.
enough capacity to meet our growth for the next 2-3 years. In
Right. Right. And with regards to where the AdBlue section in the Chennai plant goes, and the other section for manufacturing metalworking fluids in the Silvassa plant, how much more capacity will we be adding with these two?
Absolutely. So AdBlue, you see, we were one of the first companies to start AdBlues many years ago, 7-8 years. Now the demand for AdBlue, because it is used in the BS6 and for vehicles to, it helps the environment when you treat the gas emissions before it leaves and goes out from the vehicle. So the demand has gone up. We are very selective. We are not going into the mass AdBlue market. We are going selectively with our OEM customers and in the retail, because we believe we are making one of the best quality products. We don't want to dilute the quality in any way. So this AdBlue capacity is enhanced capacity, and that is in Chennai now, and we have of course Silvassa. So that will add to our sales. And as you said, metalworking fluids is an area which we are now looking at. It's a sort of, I would say, mid value creation segment for us. And this new facility in Silvassa will help us to make the second level of metalworking fluids, which is called soluble, water soluble products. So this will expand our range of metalworking, and we are working on customers also fine tuning our product range so that we can use this capacity. So both these things will be good and will help Gulf to continue to grow, in these segments.
Right. Another thing, Ravi, that comes to my mind right now is the kind of EV boom that we are all talking about. Yes, it's not really picked up that well in the four-wheeler space, but two-wheelers, three-wheelers, buses, these are few sections where EV has started to pick up. There is lack of infrastructure in the country. How well prepared are we to meet the EV demand? Because that's something which could, if captured well, will be good for business. But if you're not really prepared for it, it will be a deterrent in terms of where the existing business goes.
See, let me start by telling you that lubricant demand in India, being the third largest market, will continue to grow for the next two
Hmm.
decades. 15 to 20 years is what even the experts say. We
Hmm.
believe because of the population of the IC engines in all segments will still provide growth. Now, coming to EV, yes, you're right. The penetration levels predicted by a number of the experts and even what we are looking at, it's a good thing to do because it helps the environment. Of course, we have to also ask the question whether the power generated is coming from a clean environment. So that
Hmm.
in turn, the power requirements will be there and go up. Now, how we are preparing is Gulf is a global brand. We are available in 100 countries. As you know, it belongs to
Correct.
Visa Group. Gulf Oil International is the parent company. We have already launched a range of EV fluids in Europe in our global portfolio, and we are now introducing them in India. But the demand is very low for car EV fluids. See, cars require specific lubricant, not for the engine because there's no engine for the others, which is developed. So two-wheelers now require very little lubricant, and they require just a tweak with the current lubricant, the transmission and others.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we are well prepared with the range for the car segment. Two-wheeler is now picking up. We are talking to people how we can develop that. So I would say in terms of EV fluids, we have the fluids for the car segment. Two-wheeler will be giving similar products or slightly tweaked products, which we are ready with. And we are also looking at our strategy on how the Gulf brand and distribution can play a role in the EV mobility value chain. So really, how we can leverage our distribution. You may know we have tied up globally in Gulf Oil International and the Indian listed company to have a stake in Indra Renewables, which is a UK based
UK based company. Correct.
company. So we are charting our sort of map to how to look at the mitigation in EV mobility. But per se, EV fluids is an area which obviously we will play in, and we are now bringing the products to the OEMs as a starting point in India.
Right. So overall, Ravi, bundling all of this together, what's the growth we are envisaging, say, in terms of the next 12 to 18 months? And what's the next milestone that we as a brand are looking to cross?
See, today Gulf is placed, I would say, well placed amongst the top brands. If you take the private sector brands, we believe that our retail market, we are second placed overall as a private sector. We are similar to some of the other brands who are jointly second, but we are in the private sector there. Overall, as a brand, if you take the entire domestic lubricant market along with the public sector brands, our brand is also in the top three as a brand recall, a brand consideration. Considering that, and some of our strengths which we have developed in the retail market in terms of distribution touch points, our B2B approach, our focused brand building with number of associations, and
mm,
building the brand with cricket, with brand ambassadors, with
correct.
Chennai Super Kings. I think we are well placed to continue our journey to grow 2 to 3 times the market at least. So if the market grows 2%, 3%, 4%, Gulf will try to grow and has grown quite well in the last decade and more.
Mm,
We believe that we need to increase our growth in certain segments.
mm,
Clearly, for us, the channel retail segment, which is the bazaar segment, we want to grow
mm,
even faster. So we will be putting in a lot of distribution initiatives. Already, work is on. How do we go into each segment? Our share in the passenger car motor oil segment is low, so we are hoping we can take it up by at least 0.75%
mm, mm,
every year, and try to do more. So we also have a global tie-up with McLaren Formula One,
correct.
which is very popular. You can see some of the cars back there. They are
Yeah.
colors where Gulf as a brand, the orange and blue colors of Gulf are quite iconic in motorsports. And
Mm,
along with the cricket, I would say cricket, and also we sponsor Manchester United globally. So we have a good brand, we have a good distribution, we are very focused. So I would say the next 2 to 3 years would be a strong growth for us, subject to market conditions and markets being open. I think that's the only rider I have, and of course, competition is also looking at the market quite well, and of course putting in actions which will also give the future mitigation against the EV threat.
right. So does this mean that our marketing spends, the average that we've seen in the last 2 to 3 years, uh, from here on, it will increase on an average to the past?
See, as a percentage, we have been putting in 6% of our revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Last two, to be very honest, last 2 years or 18 months has been a tough. So
Correct.
we have not had. We don't go and put up signages. We don't have the visibility. There is no sense spending too much when the market
Mm,
demand is low. So we have tapered it down. So I would say that as a brand, we continue investing at least 4.5, 5% of our revenues. What we want to look at going forward, and we'll have to be a bit more pragmatic. And also, I must add, just before COVID, as per our internal studies, we gathered that we are the number two brand today overall
mm, mm,
in terms of brand consideration. But let's take it, it's an internal survey. It's probably we are still in the top brands, but we have got very high brand consideration. And this
mm,
is low involvement product. As you know, if I ask you which lubricant you use for your car, you'll mostly not remember. So it is a fact that today it's an influencer brand. It's a brand which is backed by a number of OEMs, influencers, trade. So we do need to make our marketing spend more work in the market. We have done a lot of good brand building. So I think
mm.
roughly 4 to 5% of advertising investment is good.
Good. All right. Thank you, Ravi, so much for joining us on the show. It's always a pleasure to speak to you, get insights. Congratulations once again to get back to normal. Good luck and stay safe, and speak to you soon again.
Thank you, and wish you the same. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel for in-depth interviews of India Inc. and press the bell icon so that you do not miss our updates.